In this Living Righteously series, we're going to be talking about how to pray effectively. And I know I've been getting many requests from all of you and some of the viewers out there about this topic and how you can effectively pray and how you can effectively get closer to our Father, Abba Yahuwah. And so we're going to talk about some tips and resources on how to do that, as well as going to Matthew chapter 6 to show us how Yahusha tells us how we should pray and address the Father in that secret place. Now, that's actually one of the things I want to talk about is with prayer, it has to be done in secret. It has to be done in that secret place. You know, having a relationship with the Father is so important. It's so important because what does it do? A relationship, think about it like you're with a spouse or with a friend. You know, you have a relationship with somebody, which means you know their name, you know everything about them, you know their personality. You're getting to know that person more and more and more. Whether that person be your friend, your best friend, even your neighbor, or even your spouse, or somebody you really love and care about and adore. That's the same thing as how we are supposed to have a relationship with our Father, Yahuwah. We are supposed to get to know him. We are supposed to know everything about him. We are supposed to stand in awe of him and cleave to him when we are in trouble, but to also talk to him through the good and the bad and the happy and the sad. And even when things get ugly, we're still supposed to know that he is there ready to have a relationship with us. And he wants to help us through every single problem that we might be struggling or facing. But if only we would be seeking him, if only we would go to him in that secret place, because that is where we will find him the most. But in order to go to him, like I said, it's just like having a relationship with your friend. You know, to have a relationship with the Father, well, first of all, you have to know the Father. You have to know the Father's name, because what good is it having a relationship with somebody if you don't even know their name? So the first thing to do is, of course, to know the Hebrew name of our Creator Yahuwah, which he has given us, and his name is Yahuwah, or Yahuwah. Okay, so now that we know that, and you can watch my other videos on why the name is so important, and maybe I'll link them below so you can see them. But first of all, it's important to know his name. And then when we know his name, we can come to him in that secret place. That means, you know, whatever we're doing, we can stop whatever we're doing whenever we want to and go to him in that secret place behind closed doors when nobody else is around. And also, we can start to fast as well. Fasting is a great way to get closer to the Father. And it's a great way to separate ourselves from the rest of the world. Because remember, Yahuwah tells us to be ye separate from the world. So that is what we must do as well. We have to be separate from the world if we want to get closer to the Father. We can't just be going out here being like the rest of the world, doing worldly things, you know. And that's why the Torah is so important, because Yahuwah has given us guidelines, he's given us patterns, he's given us instructions and specific instructions of how we can get closer to him. And one of the ways to get closer, because remember, our body is the temple, so his set apart Ruach, or what you may call the Holy Spirit, is supposed to flow into us and flow over us. But how can he do that if we have so much in our temple, if we have so much spiritual hoarding going on, if we're holding on to things that really don't matter to him, if we're holding on to our past, if we're so angry and stressful, if we're not letting go of the past, if we continue to, you know, be angry at other people, but also if we continue to, you know, be unclean. You know, you have to come to Yahuwah clean, and you have to come to him as a child. You have to return as a child, and you have to humble yourself and come to him so that he can come to you. But in order to do that, you can't come to him eating certain foods, because remember, there are certain clean foods and unclean foods that we are and are not supposed to be eating. So therefore, we can't just come to him expecting him to do some things, but only to find out that, wait a second, he can't do those things for us. We have to be renewed through him in order to do that. And we have to come to him clean and humbly. So for example, we have to come to him after the evening is the best time, because after the evening we are clean again. We have to stop eating certain foods that are going to make us unclean, such as pork, and other disgusting foods like shellfish, like catfish and shrimp, lobster, crab. You know, those things make us unclean. And there are other things that make us unclean too. I don't know if you all know this, but having sex makes you unclean as well. And you have to be, of course, you have to. There are certain guidelines you have to do in order to get clean, like washing your clothes and washing your body, like taking a shower, and then waiting until the evening in order to get clean. But that is how we get closer to him. That is how we establish that relationship with him. And another thing too, in order to establish that relationship, is talking to the Father all the time, not just sometimes, but really talking to him and worshiping him in spirit and in truth. Praise and worship is also another way we can really pray effectively unto Yahuwah as well. And so that's something I want to talk more about too. And Yahuwah willing, next week's Living Righteously series will be on how to worship effectively as well. And like I said, next week, Yahuwah willing, I'll give you all some very helpful worshiping tools and lessons and techniques, and people who I think are really good when it comes to praising and worshiping and using the restored, set apart Hebrew name and getting away from these pagan titles of Lord and God, or Baal and Gad, which basically means Master Satan. But I'm going to take you over to Matthew chapter 6, where it talks more about this, and I'm going to elaborate with you how you can pray more effectively and what the Father expects of you. Now here I am in Matthew chapter 6, or Matityahu chapter 6, and we're on Bible Gateway and we're in the KJV. Now I'm going to read the entire chapter with you, and I'm going to tell you and give you some tips and techniques of how to pray more effectively and how this can help you and your family pray more effectively to Yahuwah if you already haven't, or if you already aren't. But this says, take heed that you do not your alms before men to be seen of them, otherwise ye have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. Therefore, when thou doest thine alms, do not sound the trumpet before thee, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But when thou doest alms, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth. So what this is talking about, verses 1 through 3 right here, is talking about what? Alms, which is giving money to, organizations, or just giving money in general. It's talking about when you're giving money to either other people, or you're giving money to righteous organizations, you're not supposed to be bragging and boasting about it. You're supposed to be doing it in secret, contrary to the church today, where they go, oh, I just gave $100 to my church. Oh, I'm going to brag about it and tell the whole world. Remember, you can judge a tree by its fruit, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But it goes on to say that thine alms may be in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly. Because remember, he works in secret. But verse 5, and this is where we get into the prayer. And when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. What is that talking about? He tells us to pray in secret in order to reach him. But what does the world do? The world, they pray in public. They pray openly because they want to be seen and known for it. Remember, you can judge a tree by its fruit. It goes on to say, verse 6, but thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret. So it tells us to enter into the closet, pray in secret with nobody else around, and thy Father which seest in secret shall reward thee openly. But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. So what is that talking about? Don't pray about the same thing over and over. If you already prayed about something, let Yahuwah take care of it. If you already came to Yahuwah yesterday praying about something, you don't have to pray about it again today, because he's going to take care of it. Pray about something else. And he's gonna talk about, Yahusha is gonna talk about exactly what we should be praying for and what we should not be praying for. But it says, verse 8, be not ye therefore like unto them, for your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before you ask him. So what does this tell us? The Yahuwah already knows what we need before we even come to him asking for it. But he goes on to say, after this manner therefore pray ye. And this is of course the prayer of Yahusha, or Yahuwah's prayer. And it says, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. So when we look at verse 11, it says, give us this day our daily bread. So what is